Welcome back, thanks for tuning in. So as you've been around the channel a little while, I recognize this. This is the Screw Caddy I put together, quite some time ago now. You can tell by all the nicks and scrapes and bangs on it. It does see an awful lot of use, and it does what I had intended to do, which is obviously to hold, sort, and carry all the different types of screws I need for various job sites. But I think I can make some improvements on it. First off is I don't really care for this orientation. It works. You slide the door up and you can see everything you need at a glance, of course. But I think this orientation is going to work better because I really do like the other carrier that I have for all the different cockings. And it is quite simple for me to look down inside the various chambers and see what I have and what I need and everything. And I think I'll be able to do the same thing with the Screw Caddy. So that's what I want to do here. One of the other problems with it was some of the screws that I need are quite long, and the design of that unfortunately does not hold anything bigger than about 3 inches. And well, obviously there's ones I'm going to need that are going to be bigger than that. So I do want to make some chambers that are going to be able to hold larger things. And of course, because I'll be able to see it at a glance from the top this time, it'll be really quite easy for me to just pull out the drawer I want, and I'll have all that particular type. And that's the plan anyway. There's a couple changes I'll need to make. One of the things I'm not going to change, of course, is I want it to fit in with what I have in the shop. I want to be able to pull drawers out of that, and anything that's in there will fit into the drawers in these, so I can, of course, decide what I need and so on and so forth, and not have to worry about, well, I can't do that, I'll have to dump it into another container, and those sorts of things. I just want to be able to plug and play, as they like to say in the electronics industry. So that's the plan. So I'm going to make the same sort of style, but as you can see, what I'm doing here is I'm making some grooves. I'm going to make, instead of having the 4 different layers, the 4 different levels, and then the trays on the side, it's going to be downward, so it's going to be 8 chambers, and I'm going to be able to have anywhere from 2 to 3 individual containers in there, which will hold all the different types of screws and all the different lengths, I hope. Actually, in honesty, I don't think it's ever going to, anything that I can carry or hold or lift is ever going to hold all the different types of screws I need, because it's just ridiculous how many different ones you need. And I find as I progress doing all this and the different jobs I get to see, I'm actually changing some of the preferences for different types of screws as things progress. And that is something else that needs to be taken into account, because I'll end up with an awful lot of stuff that just simply will not be things that I would need regularly. So I'll store those at the shop, and then there's going to be some that are going to become obsolete, which I'll keep here. And if I find a job that doesn't really matter what type I use, I will use those up at that point in time. So that's, like I said, that's the plan. So these are going to be the dividers. They're going to fit in these grooves, and I chose 1/2 inch because what I want to do here is I'm going to put grooves on the opposite side as well, as you can see here. And that way I can slide those in, and then they'll all fit inside the main box chamber, and of course be able to be glued into place and hold everything. And like I said, I really do enjoy that caulking container, and I do have another idea I am going to be working on here relatively soon. I carry a bunch of stuff, random stuff. I need masks when I go up into attics for dust, so I don't have to breathe in all the dust that's up there. I do use an awful lot of disposable gloves, like the heavy-duty ones, and I find just keeping them in the vehicle, well, first off, they get buried under stuff because I have materials that I need to remove from job sites, and they end up getting banged up and everything. So I want something similar to this, believe it or not, but obviously of different shape and size, for something I can just leave in my vehicle, and what it'll do is just hold all that stuff, the stuff that I need every time I go anywhere, but not stuffing that's important. Like I take all my tools, like drills and everything else, out of my vehicle every day because, well, first off, I don't want them stolen. I mean, that does happen, and I don't really want to have to replace anything like that. And the other thing is, like, things like caulking, If you let it freeze and thaw, freeze and thaw, it just becomes useless after a short period of time. So those sorts of things I need to remove. But things like gloves and masks and those sorts of things, they can just stay in the vehicle forever. There's no issue, and I certainly don't want to end up having them, be forgotten and have to, go buy new ones. So this is the portable bench I put together. I really do like this. It is quite useful. It has obviously less use, I find, on job sites. I don't bring any of this part that you're seeing me assemble here. I do use the bench from time to time. It's not the most portable for getting around various things. So I tend to use collapsible step stools for that now. But it does have its uses when I'm going to do any kind of border trims, that sort of thing, like cutting up baseboards, that sort of stuff. It's perfect for that, and also it's really good for this. So I do use it a lot in the shop itself, which is nice. Now this is I'm not sure which number version this is. This is one of my latest versions for drilling dowels. It works really quite well, but one thing I find, you're going to see here in a second as I drill this one out here, the hardwood, even though it's oak, it doesn't really hold it well enough. I find I have to do that, which is to hold it in place. Not a big deal, I suppose. It does do what it needs to do as far as guiding the drill bit and everything. But this part here, there you go. That is, a bit time consuming. It's not really a big deal. The original one I ever made, way back with the aluminum one, is one I still use. And actually, you're going to see it in this project here because I was trying to hurry this process up and get it done because I have lots of other things to do. And I switched over to that simply because it's a lot quicker. And yeah, it's just something that I want to modify for the 6th or 7th time or whatever I'm up to now. Because I've also noticed a few other things. When I first started making, doing dowel joints, I found that I was making them really quite tight, almost like I was driving in a nail. And it worked. And everything I've built so far, by the way, is perfectly fine. None of them has ever fallen apart. But I find that, sorry, my hand's in the way there. There's no point in showing you the rest of that. I find that the little bit more loose ones are holding just as well, and it is a lot simpler and easier to put together. And that's obviously one of the things that really matters because, I don't want to spend an extra amount of time on something and when I don't really need to. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put together one, and instead of making it out of aluminum, though, I'm going to make it out of brass. I find the brass wears really well. In other words, it doesn't wear hardly at all, which is really kind of nice. I do like that concept where I can build something, of course, and then have it last for quite a while. I find the aluminum one is, it's getting a little bit, you'll see when I start using here in a few moments. It's getting a little loose, and the problem with it being loose is it doesn't hold the drill bit perfectly perpendicular to what I'm trying to drill through. And what can happen, of course, and it's only happened I think maybe twice in all the projects I put together, where the guide isn't straight enough and I end up punching through the side of the material, especially on something thin like 1/2 inch here. It's something that can happen. And like I said, it has happened a couple of times. Not a big deal. It's a simple matter of just putting in wood filler, believe it or not, and sanding them down, and you can't even tell. So it's fine. But again, just trying to be a little bit more conscientious of how these things go together. And I do want to make something a little bit more permanent for these sorts of corner builds, because face it, this is the kind of thing that you do the most with dowel joints. It has to fit on the corners, and you're mostly building boxes. Periodically, there's going to be other stuff, and as those things come up, I'll decide at that point whether or not I want to make yet another dowel joint. I almost made a mistake there. Yeah, I need to flip that around. Those two holes are obviously where the handle's going to go, and it's kind of useful to have them both on the same side. So anyway, it's just another project coming up. I just wanted to make sure that I have, the easiest tools for what I need to do. So yeah, just a number of other things I have on the go as well. I haven't forgotten about some of the other projects either, but a lot of stuff gets backburnered because of work. I have an awful lot of stuff that I am doing currently. As the fall progresses, and we are now into November, a lot of the outdoor work is going to stop. I mean, I can't really parge cement or use hydraulic cement when it gets really cool, so a lot of that sort of jobs are going to stop, and I'll do a lot more indoor drywall work and that sort of thing as well. So I'll have a bit more time is what I'm trying to get at here in a long-winded way. So I'm going to pop the bottom on here. This is obviously quite straightforward. Use my really sophisticated weight to hold it down, and then you're going to see here I'm switching over to the old original. Actually, is it the original? It might be the second one I made. There it is there. I think this is the second one I made, and it is just aluminum, and like I said, it works. But it's got to the point now where the holes that I will be drilling into here are getting just a little loose. You can see it just a little, see the wiggle there? That's the thing that I'm kind of concerned about. And it's a bit of a problem now, but I think as time goes forward, it's going to become more and more of an issue. But the nice thing about this is you can just hold it with your thumb, and you saw how quick that was. And that's something that's really kind of important to me. And these are slightly larger holes now. You're going to see these dowels are going to go in a lot easier. And the only thing I need to do is this is another day that I was doing this, and I was a little bit more short on time. I didn't bother marking on the drill bit how deep to go, and I didn't quite drill these deep enough. You're going to see they're going to not quite set as deep as they need to be. But then again, like I said, none of these projects, none of these dowel held together things, which is an awful lot of stuff at this point, have ever fallen apart. I mean, this mallet alone is being held together by dowels. So, like I said, it's not something that I'm concerned about as far as durability. I mean, some of these projects are now 3, 4, 5 years old, and I really mistreat stuff. Not intentionally, of course, but you're on a job site, and you just, you need to get things done, and you don't quite have the time and luxury to be gentle with everything. This is something I want to show you. This is interesting. This is a pull saw slash facing saw I got. I can't remember when. Quite some time ago. You can see the name of it there. It's not really anything against this particular brand. I think they're all pretty much the same. These North American flush cut saws are way too flimsy. But the neat thing about it is, as you see, I'm trying to get through this. The problem here is obviously it does tend to mark up the wood a little bit, and that is a bit of an issue. But as you see here, this is a Japanese pull saw, and I think it speaks for itself. I mean, this is obviously very straightforward. Picked this up quite some time ago now, and I really, really like it. I mean, you can't get any simpler than that. Pops the dowels off with ease, and then the rest of that I can just sand down. So anyway, I just wanted to mention that as an aside, in case you're interested in getting a flush cut saw like that. There you go. This is the amount of sanding I ever show you guys. It is, as you see, nice and clean now. That doesn't matter. I mean, even the other one, the North American one, you can't really see any scratches or anything after it's sanded down. It's just, like I said, trying to minimize the amount of effort I need to get a project where it needs to be. And yeah, I tend to face things and finish things a little bit too nice for what it's designed for, but that's all right. It's fine. It's just, I like it to look nice. There you go. That's all the sanding I'm going to show you. I'm going to sand off the rest of this all off camera, and that's pretty much how it's going to look. You see the two holes there, the centerpiece that goes through both of those, that is the backing for where I'm going to cut a piece of doweling, and I'm going to run it through on the lathe to give me my nice little holds for the handles, and that's where they're going to back out. A few things I'm not going to show you because this video has gotten way too long, but I don't want to leave out too much detail. Some of this stuff is obviously really quite straightforward, like cutting all the different sizes for the various pieces of wood. If anyone has any questions, of course, or anything I've ever left off, you can always just leave a comment below, and I can hopefully either address them in the comment, or if it's something a little bit more complicated, show it to you in an upcoming video or whatever. So I'm just going to glue these on both sides, because this is going to slide into the groove here, and then of course it's going to slide into the centerpiece as well. So it has to be able to, well, I suppose I could have glued into the box itself and then glued both sides of the centerpiece, but that's reaching a little bit, and I didn't want to, I wouldn't be able to show you it being glued, and not really that important, I suppose. There you go. These are the centerpieces. These are where the drawers are going to go. Next video, because this one's obviously way too long already, I am going to make the acrylic drawers for this. And there's one thing that needs to be done for the drawers that I haven't mentioned yet, and that is they need lids. This is where they're going to slide in, but this is not the way that this container is going to be held. This is not the way it's going to be carried around. It's going to be held vertically. And if I just leave it as is, what's going to happen, of course, is all the screws are just going to fall out, or going to be in one big pile in the very bottom container, and then I have to go sorting it. And obviously I don't want to do any of that nonsense. So that all has to be taken care of in the process of making the acrylic drawers. Not hard, but it is definitely something worth its own video, and it'll definitely be the next one. So there you go. These slide in quite well. That is something I actually probably need to address a little bit more. It's a little tight getting that in, and well, I dry fit everything. You'll notice that in the video as it progressed. I don't put anything together. I don't glue anything together until I fit everything together, and to see if everything fits the way I want it to before I get to the glue up, which is what I'm doing here now. I think it's really important. Just in case you made a slight mistake, or retired one day or whatever. But even still, I don't leave enough margin of error here. I probably should do that. I mean, I'm too used to working with metal where you don't use a whole lot of that, and acrylic even less, because the methylene chloride I use, it requires really precise cuts. So I'm going to take this piece of dowel, and I'm going to turn this down, and it's going to become the little knobby bit that I'm going to use to hold the two arms of the handle onto the box, of course. I'm not going to show all this to you. Again, this is another one of those things, if you want to see more lathe work, just let me know. But it's really quite straightforward. Just turn this down to maybe just a shade over the diameter I require. And then sanding process is just, I use an old belt sander that I have. An old belt from a belt sander I have. And just gradually sand that down until I get the right kind of feel for it. That's one thing nice I find about working with wood. It's really forgiving. As long as you're within the ballpark, you're good. Still a little tight. I'll do it one more time. And then I'm going to make two of these. They're going to have, obviously, a collar on them so that the handle won't fall off. And one other thing I'm going to do for this, which I did for the other container after the fact. I mean, the other one I made friction fit, and then, it sees a lot of use, and it gradually wore the wood down, and I had to glue them in. That was in a video I did for the process of projects I've liked, which ones that needed extra work, all that sort of stuff. And it needed to be glued in. It's just nothing wrong with the project. I mean, it works really well. It just wore, and in this particular case, I'm just going to skip the middle step, and I'm just going to cut these handles, glue them in place, and just have done with it, because there's really not much else I can do to modify this. And I'm quite happy with the other handle design, so I'm pretty sure this one's going to be just as good. And one thing I'm going to do off camera is I'm going to round those edges over. Not hard to do, but like I said, this video is getting really long. So they're going to pop in like this. And then, of course, these are the arms. I made these arms shorter than the other ones because it doesn't really need to be extra long. It doesn't have to go past the sides as these appear to do at the moment, but it won't when it's all assembled. It was just unnecessary. Now this isn't going to be glued, which is kind of interesting because it doesn't need to be glued. There's no force sideways on this, so they're not going to pop out. And this is a simple matter of just putting them in the right way the first time, and then yeah, that's good to go. This is pretty much done. Like I said, off camera I've done a few things. I'm going to off camera again glue those into place. I'm going to show you one final clip of the orientation, how the drawers are going to go. What's in the drawer is irrelevant because I just pulled one out of the caddies I have over on the side there, which hold all my stuff. And yeah, this is, like I said, this is how it's going to look. All it's going to be different is there's going to be drawers in it, and this is much simpler, I think, to carry, and I hope it's going to work out. So there you go. That's it. Thanks for watching. Leave comments. There's my hand showing you where the lid's going to go, and I'll see you in the next video, and bye for now.